I just read a cool article. It's from the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, and it's called The Effects of Intermittent Stretching Following a 4-Week Static Stretching Protocol, and it was a randomized trial. So this is where I get a lot of the ideas from my training systems, from research journals where people really have a very impartial view. They have a hypothesis, they do an experiment to test it, see what the results are, and see what the actual effects are. So rather than going to some of the fitness magazines where really, I mean, they're imparting information, but the job is selling advertising. So if the cover of, one of the big fitness magazines said, oh, in this edition, there's an article entitled The Effects of Intermittent Stretching Following a 4-Week Static Stretching Protocol, you really wouldn't buy it. But if it said, amazing way to get 6-pack abs in 4 seconds or less, you'd pick it up. Maybe if obviously the information really that there's no way to get a 6-pack in 4 seconds or less. But anyways, the thing I found was interesting about this is they took a group of subjects, and I think there were 30-something subjects, and they had them stretch every day for 4 weeks. So every day they did a hamstring stretch, and they did a standing hamstring stretch. I'm going to go out of view for a second, but it was just, this kind of standing hamstring stretch with a neutral back position. And they held that stretch for 30 seconds, and they did 2 on each side. And then after the 4 weeks, what they did is they split that group in half, and they randomly assigned the people to either discontinue stretching, so to don't stretch at all, or continue stretching on an intermittent basis, which in this experiment it was 2 to 3 times per week, doing the same thing, 2 repetitions of a 30-second hold on the hamstring stretch. So after the initial 4 weeks, when everybody was stretching, there was an improvement from 71 degrees to about 90 degrees of hip mobility or hamstring mobility. So the difference would basically be from about here to here is the amount of range that they gained. So from about 71 degrees up to 90 degrees, and they measure that using the torso, the axis of the hip, and the line of the leg, the femur. So that was after 4 weeks of everybody stretching. Then one group stopped stretching altogether for another 4 weeks, and then they remeasured as well. And that group lost about 7 degrees of range. So they went sort of from 90 degrees down to, 83 or something like that. So they lost a little bit. But the intermittent stretching group maintained their mobility, or maintained that flexibility that they had gained over the 4 weeks, so just dropping down. So practically for you, what does it mean? Well, it means if you have an area that you really want to improve flexibility, you need to stretch it every day. If you need to stretch a muscle for 5 minutes, well, this study, they did 2 repetitions of a 30-second hold on each side, and they actually had some really nice changes in results. Once you have the mobility that you want or that you need to play your sport or to play goal, then you can maintain that, and it probably varies from person to person. Some people who are really stiff, but so maybe try 3 times a week and sort of monitor your flexibility and make sure that you're maintaining what you have. I want to show you a couple of ways that I really like to stretch the hamstrings using the strap. So the first one is just our straight up. The knee has to stay straight, and this leg has to stay straight too, with the knee on the ground. If this knee starts picking up, all I'm doing is rotating my hips underneath me. I'm not really stretching my hamstrings. From there, I like to take my leg across my body a bit, but my hips have to stay flat on the ground. So don't let your hips roll over and get the impression that you're getting a great stretch. Keep your hips on the ground and come across, and that moves the stretch a little bit towards the outside. And then the final one is coming here, out to the side again, keeping your hips flat on the ground, so don't let it roll and get the impression that you're getting farther. Also keep your leg up at this level. Sometimes people let the leg drop down, so really now it's down here and they're getting way out to the side, when really you should keep it up on the same level where you were getting that nice hamstring stretch, and then come in and get more stretch on your medial hamstrings. So there's a little bit of research to help you scientifically evaluate a stretching program and get some tips for how you're going to work on your flexibility training, and a couple of techniques to maybe help stretch the all the hamstrings groups, including the lateral and the medial aspects.